Good afternoon, everybody. Responding to Sam R's questions, whatever ones that couldn't be answered very quickly, and I appreciate. Thank you, Sam, for the great questions. So, in our previous video that I'm uploading as I record this now, as I'm passing over the Susquehanna River, and I don't know if that's a Susquehanna hat. I think that's not the Susquehanna River. I don't know. So, anyway, Sam R. was asking, is a mitzvah or a sin for women to learn Jewish commentaries in the Torah and so forth, even when they're not obligated to do so? So, in my first video, I discussed the common practices among the schools today, the girls' schools, excuse me, in the Orthodox Jewish world. Get a brief idea of that, you can watch that video. The next question has to be, all right, that's what we do, but what do the sources say? Because that's really more important in a certain sense than what we happen to actually do. Whereas I guess in other senses, maybe it's more important, perhaps, what is it that we do. There's a balance between these two. So let's look at the sources. So I remember when I was in yeshiva, we had Rabbi David Orlovsky, he should be well, a very popular speaker, and he was one of the rabbis who taught us in yeshiva in Or Sameach in Yerushalayim. And he also taught in the girls' schools, and he said over a very famous statement of the Mishnah, then kol hamalaben es bitoi tarikil ilu malamda tiflus. That whoever teaches his daughter Torah is as if he taught her licentiousness, whatever it is, something, it's not a good thing, something negative. So, he said that one of the girls, she heard that, and she said, well, that's just an Eitzah Tova. That's just good advice. So that the sages were giving. So he said, well, would you prefer that the sages give an Eitzah Ra'ah, that they give bad advice? The thing is that statement has to be looked at in context. The actual context of the statement is as follows. It's the laws of the sota. A sota is a woman who her husband was jealous of her relations with another man, was afraid that it went beyond just being friendly, and she was secluded with this man, and then she has to endure the ordeal of the bitter waters to prove her innocence. And it's in the book of Numbers, it's in the Bible, and that if she drinks this water and she's innocent, she's blessed that she'll be pregnant next time she's with her husband, and if she's guilty, so then she has to, then she dies, and it's a very horrific death that she's subject to. So then the question is, all right, so what's that about? What's the what is she what happens there? So anyway, when it comes to that, so what comes out of this story is that the sages say that if a woman has schus, if she has merit, then the merit will protect her that she won't die immediately. And if she lacks merit, then she'll die. So the sages therefore say a man should always teach his daughter Torah, because this way, if she has to undergo the bitter waters, she'll survive. She'll at least, maybe they say that she still dies eventually, but it's a little bit slower death. So that's the one opinion, and so therefore the mitzvah of Torah study will protect her. And then the other opinion says the opposite. Don't teach her Torah, because first of all, it'll cast aspersions on the bitter water, and second of all, it'll help her get away with committing sins. And that's what it means. Kol malamed es bitay Torah kilu malamed tiflus, that she's teaching her, to be immodest, because she could get away with the sin. Nowadays, we don't have the bitter water. So the whole issue is a moot point. So just because that statement appears in the Talmud doesn't mean necessarily that that's the way that it's understood today. Now, are there other reasons why through the years there weren't schools for girls, etc., and the girls were taught at home? And that's really what it came down to. But that's what we have in our history. So the source material that's generally used to say that the girls should not be studying Torah, and when we say studying Torah, we mean the Talmud in general, according to most opinions. It is not. It's a moot point. It's not talking about something that we have to worry about today, and so there's really no reason to take that into consideration. And the truth is, there were women throughout history who were Torah scholars. My ancestor, who you all know that I revere very highly, is the Chavos Yair, right? Rabbi Yair Bacharach. And his grandmother, Chava, that's why he called the Sefer Chavos Yair, and she raised it. Even though it's Chavos Yair means the villages of Yair, of Jair, but it means Chavos Eve's Yair. His grandmother, Eva Bacharach, was the matriarch of his family in many ways, and a holy woman, and a scholar, a Torah scholar, and a lot of the rabbis would come to her for if they didn't know the answer of something, and she was the granddaughter of the Maharal of Prague. So there is precedent for women becoming Torah scholars, and to each his own. Really, the truth is, everybody has to find their own path, what works for them. But really, there is no actual sin for a woman to study Torah that she is not obligated to do. It is a mitzvah for her to study Torah. Maybe it's not the same level of the mitzvah of the man, because in generally we say that when you do something out of obligation, the reward is greater than when you do something that's optional. But nonetheless, it is a mitzvah for women to learn Torah, and then we move from there as far as how we approach that. In every community, they have their own way, but even among some of these more Haredi communities, we do have individuals who seek to learn more, and to each his own. That's pretty much my approach. Thank you for watching. God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe. To each our own, really. So even though it's not an obligation, it's a mitzvah, and it's a decision everyone has to make on their own based on their community and so forth. Thank you for watching. God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe, comment, and we'll see you later.